10 o'clock here in New York. Morning, everybody. Fox is alert. They are back at it already. The battle of wills between the president and the new members of Congress as we welcome you to a brand new hour on a Friday. I'm Bill Hemmer, live here in New York. How you doing?
Friday. I'm Heather Childers in for Sandra Smith. Representative Omar promising to continue being the president's, quote, nightmare, even as he disavows the chants at the campaign rally.
I started speaking very quickly. I disagree with it, by the way, but it was quite a chant, and I felt a little bit badly about it, but I will say this, I did, and I started speaking very quickly.
Everybody's got an opinion about this. Right to the A-team, Juan Williams, Fox News political analyst, co-host of The Five. How you doing?
Good morning.
James Freeman, assistant editor, Wall Street Journal editorial page, Fox News contributor. Hello, sir.
Good to be here.
Jenna Rives, Trump 2020 advisory board member, and hello and welcome back.
Thank you. Hello.
As an advisory board member, where do you think this is going?
Yeah, well, you know, I agree with the president's comments. Of course, he's going to disavow this and the chant itself. But I think that this is a group of patriots that are sincerely expressing an objection to everything that Ilhan Omar stands for and the progressive leftist squad. And I think that we have to focus on why these particular individuals are going so far progressive left. I mean, you have a congresswoman who is introducing legislation on BDS that is so anti-Semitic. She's never reversed her comments. And yet we're sitting here talking about what a Trump rally is chanting. I mean, they chanted lock her up, and yet we still see that Hillary Clinton is completely fine and is out walking on the streets, right? And so I think we have to focus here on what is behind that sentiment and what is.
All right, let's get everybody to weigh in. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I think it was good the president disavowed the nasty chant. I think he made some nasty comments over the last week. Congresswoman Omar makes a lot of nasty comments about the United States, but I don't think she ought to be sent away. I think maybe the voters of Minneapolis might want to reconsider their choice.
Well, they'll have that option eventually.
Very soon.
Or recall.
Yes.
They can recall.
Go ahead, Juan.
And we'll have a choice in November 2020. But to me, this has been a very unsettling week. I thought the president's tweets about send her home was unfortunate and, you know, you could say nativist, which is what I think, James, they said in the Wall Street Journal. And others might say racist. But then when you see these chants at the North Carolina rally, it was scary because I think that you see people get incensed and get a sense of anger, especially at immigrants, but at political opponents in a way that could lead to violence. And I think that's why I think you've seen Republicans take a lead here, a Republican saying to the president, Mr. President, I think we've gone a little too far. This is not the party we want to be. And I think that's why the president then stepped back.
So let me go ahead and frame this in somewhat of a different way. The next rally is August 1st in Cincinnati. My guess is we don't hear this. I think the message has gone out that you don't do it. I think if you watch a lot of the media coverage, you would have thought 15,000 people walked in the other night with swastikas on their arms, which certainly is not the case. Limbaugh framed it the following way a bit earlier today here on Fox.
People are fed up, I think, hearing how rotten their country is. They're fed up hearing the media give those people an additional platform to broadcast their hate and their disgust with the country. So I think what happened at that rally is a combination of people having fun. They're with the president they love. It's a takeoff on lock her up.
Some of the same sentiments we had here.
Yeah, I would like the president to set a different tone, but I think it should be pointed out here that one of the reasons there is this focus on Congresswoman Omar is the comments from her about the United States, about our troops. Washington Post quoting her recently, talking about being in rooms with people who have served, who say the most horrendous things, who have complete disregard for life. She's talking about U.S. military veterans there. She quoted Going Home, Minnesota Public Radio. She's saying that President Trump is threatened because we are inspiring people to dream about a country that recognizes our dignity and our humanity. This is the country that recognizes dignity and humanity above all others in history. So I think that is the root of this controversy. But obviously, it should be addressed in different ways than we heard at that rally, and that the president has been expressing.
You're agreeing with that?
Oh, no, I think that you can say that she's made controversial statements. But by the way, thank God for America. You can make controversial statements. You can have differing political views without being castigated, demonized, and making it legitimate for acts of vicious behavior, exclusion, potentially violence.
Fair point. With a reflection on the country, Jenna, where else but in America can you be a Somali refugee and be elected to Congress and have this much attention and influence ultimately in your life?
Absolutely.
That is remarkable.
And I think that that's the contrast that the American people are seeing when you have someone who has really taken advantage of truly the American dream and who yet in her capacity as a congresswoman is speaking out on policies and on issues that are so fundamentally anti-American that we're seeing this contrast. And I think that Rush Limbaugh is right, that the American people are so tired of this because we love our country, we love what it stands for, and we love the fact that our government is there to preserve and protect our God-given rights, rather than having someone who is taking advantage of the American dream and then just completely spits all over it.
Yeah, but at the same time, after all of this has happened, she's now saying to the president, Juan, you know, she's going to continue to be his nightmare. Listen to this.
His nightmare is seeing a Somali immigrant refugee rise to Congress. We are going to continue to be a nightmare to this president because his policies are a nightmare to us. And we are not deterred. We are not frightened.
And then we have this tweet from President Trump that we can bring up for you, where he says, "It is amazing how the fake news media became crazed over the chant, send her back by a packed arena, a record crowd in the great state of North Carolina, but is totally calm and accepting of the most vile and disgusting mainstream media, which has lost all credibility, has either officially or unofficially become a part of the radical left Democratic Party. It is a sick partnership." Juan.
Well, I think this is the president going back to, well-worn enemies, the media, the left wing, the radical left. I mean, this is who he wants to run against. He would lose the 2020 if it was a referendum on him. You can just look at the numbers. But he wants to make the other side less acceptable, Heather. And I think that's what he's after. To me, the whole idea that was a fake rally that was staged, that's ridiculous. Of course, some people welcomed her back. They felt that she had been unfairly attacked.
You can argue the number of people who were there.
I don't even want to argue that. I just think it was real.
Rubio's making the point that all this is a double standard. Democrats try to pass a condemnation of Omar's comment about the Benjamins for a few months, but could not get that done. Here's Rubio in his own words on that.
One of their members of Congress from their party says that support for Israel is all about the Benjamins, and they couldn't even pass a resolution condemning anti-Semitism by itself. But it took them less than 72 hours to pass a resolution condemning the President of the United States tweet as racist. The hypocrisy, the self-righteousness outrages people, too.
Okay, the outrage machine has been overdrive this week.
Yeah, you'd like the president to set a higher tone than the most radical member of Congress, but I think a big issue related to this 2020 question is how much do other members of that party stand with Omar on issues? And I think for that whole squad, this is the real question, because you could say they're just fringe radicals, but you see so many people sharing the Green New Deal, for example, a really fundamental change in the U.S. economy. So it's not clear exactly who's standing with Omar and who's not, and I think that's going to be a big issue in 2020.
Point, what Rove is arguing is that they're controlling the Democratic Party.
Certainly.
At least in the House.
And in the Senate, every Democrat senator running for president backed the Green New Deal, authored by AOC, part of the so-called squad with
Now, wait a second, hold on. I don't think you want to send me home because I backed some environmental policy that you think is a little too far to the left. I think that what you see here is these four people are better known among Republicans than they are among Democrats. Why is that? Yes, because it's what the poll numbers show. So what you see here is that they are being used as foils by the right wing. And you talk about these four controlling the Democrats. As I recall, these four voted against the money for the border. The overwhelming majority, every other Democrat in the House voted
And
for
they
it.
voted against the money yesterday. They let them have it yesterday in that hearing. Jenna just
Yeah,
jumping on that.
but the Democrats are going through an identity crisis, and they are going to have to decide: are they going to let these four become the new faces of their party? Are they going to stand with them? And I think that was the brilliance of where President Trump is pointing out the fact that this squad and their progressive leftist policies are really genuinely driving the leftist party, and for the leaders like Nancy Pelosi to rally around them rather than calling out everything that they're doing as progressive left and saying this isn't part of our party, that's not going to bode well for 2020. And I also want to say something quickly about the media as well. I mean, we're talking kind of out of both sides of our mouths here, Juan, when you're saying that, you know, this is America and this is great and we can say anything we want, and yet we have only the criticism in the mainstream media of Republicans and President Trump rather than focusing on people like Ilhan Omar, who are making all of these anti-Semitic comments, making all these anti-American comments. Where is the media rallying against that? Where is the media consistently in the news cycle calling that out?
I think we all know about her. I don't think it's any secret, but I do think that he's the president of the United States.
She's a congresswoman, co-equal branch.
The president means that he has the bully pulpit. He's the leader, and when he says things that are nativist, if not racist, it's damaging to us as an American people.
They're not racist at all.
I think 60% of the American people, including a plurality of Republicans, said that tweet was racist.
No, because the news cycle is driving that. And when you have four people who, based on the fact that they're female or they are non-white individuals, when you focus on that rather than the content of what they're talking about, then you're claiming racism that's absolutely inappropriate. You have to be able to criticize.
Put a button on it, James.
Yeah, I think that it is the content of the message that has drawn all this fire. And that your comment about God bless America, we have these freedoms. You'd love to hear that appreciation for our freedoms here. What you hear from Congresswoman Omar is essentially why America is the bad guy in foreign policy during the Cold War.
I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you, Juan. See you at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on a hot Friday.
Make sure you stay in shows inside, isn't it?
They told me it was up to you. They said check with Hammer.
I'll let you know. Thank you, James. Thanks, Bill. Jenna, thanks for coming back. Have a great weekend.